Happy Ronde week, everyone. Holy Week is nearly here, beginning with the Ronde on Sunday. The men, the women tackle the fantastic cobbled climbs and bergs of Flanders. I'm going to take you through the men's preview, the women's preview, the route, the riders that could win, the riders that could take on SD Works, the riders that are going to finish behind Tadej Pogacar and Van der Poel. And then I'm going to see if AI can predict a winner. Then I'm going to tell you my prediction as well. How I think the races are going to unfold, and then give you my top three as well. So the routes for both races are pretty much set in stone with a few minor tweaks every so often. The men's have 3 times up the Kwaremont, 2 times up the Paterberg. We know majority of the time that the action will kick off on the Molenberg or just after it, with about 150k still to go. And then it will be all out from the finish at around the second time up the Kwaremont or the Koppenberg. The women, they start and finish in Oude. They go a few cobbled sectors, but then it will kick off probably on the Eichenberg in the lead up to the Koppenberg. From the Koppenberg, they join the men's, the Turnberg, Kreuzberg, the Kwaremont, and Paterberg. I do think they could shake the women's up a little bit with 2 times up the Kwaremont and Paterberg, but I guess timings with the men probably makes that somewhat difficult. On to the favourites now, and we'll start with the men, and that is a battle between Tadej Pogacar and Mathieu van der Poel. We have seen in Strade Bianche, we've seen in E3, we've seen in Sanremo that though they are the 2 strongest classics riders in the world, they are the only 2 that, if everything goes well, they're the only 2 that can battle it out for the win. So who can finish behind them? Mads Pedersen, for me, is the favourite to finish on the podium. Needs to race smarter and not be so aggressive against the big guns, though. Last year, he took it on from the Molenberg, and he paid the price later on in the race when he clearly had the form despite the Dwador's crash. He could have podiumed last year. Use Jasper Stuyven to attack the Molenberg. Use him to be aggressive. You sit back and watch. And yeah, sure, you're probably going to finish 3rd, but you're winning the human Flanders. Ineos duo of Ganna and Tarling are contenders, but I believe it's going to be too hilly for those 2, especially Tarling. It's going to be too hilly for them. We saw at E3 that on the hills, both of them were suffering. Ganna was dropped on the Kwaremont very easily, and Tarling was dropped on the Paterberg by the chase group. Still, they could cause a bit of fun and games in that middle of the race Molenberg type with attacking there. That could be how they get involved. And it's the same with Stefan Kung. He looked good in E3, very good in E3 chasing behind. Something always seems to go wrong. He always has a little bit of bad luck at some point at these monuments, and I really hope he doesn't. Finished 3rd last year until he was disqualified, but Michael Matthews is a monuments rider, it seems now. He really excels at them. I wouldn't be surprised to see him in and around that fight for the top 5. Maybe not the podium, but in and around that top 5 battle. The interesting conundrum for me is Team Visma Lease Bike. They have Wout van Aert, who obviously in previous years has been a contender with Van der Poel and Pogacar, but the form and the positioning just isn't there. We saw at Classica High-End, we saw at Algarve, even opening weekend, that the form just isn't there. At E3, we also saw that the positioning isn't there, and that is a deadly combination heading into your biggest goals. If your form is there, but your positioning isn't, you can kind of make it up. But neither is there. Again, 2nd year in a row that it's not there going into Flanders. For me, Visma need to back Matteo Jorgensen. He's in form. He could podium top 5. He should be backed. Use him aggressively. use Wout van Aert as sort of, you never know. Play that card with Pogacar and Van der Poel. Ooh, I'm feeling good. You never know. But back Matteo. That's the only way they're going to get on the podium for me. The women, I think there's a strong team that are going to look to dominate, and that is SD Works. Vollering isn't there for FDJ, so they're not going to be able to compete. Kopecky can attack. She can also win sprints. Weavers can win sprints. It's going to be very difficult to beat them. For me, the two in the best place to beat them, and it's unlikely, Licia Longo-Borghini, winner last year, and Puck Pieterse. They are the only two that I think could compete with SD Works this year at Flanders. Chabe, Niliadoma, Brand, Georgie, and Voss, I think, will be in and around that battle. But I expect them to be, well, certainly behind one of the SD Works riders. So, ChatGPT, over to you. Who's going to win the women's Ronde? Here we go. Who will they give a prediction? It's a challenging course. Here are the favourites. So, initially, no. Can you give me your prediction, please? Da-da-da-da. Lotte Kopecky is going to win the Ronde. Well, there you go. Keep an eye out for Voss and Longo-Borghini, and obviously Lorena Wiebes for a sprint. And who is going to win the men's Ronde? I imagine, like the women's, they won't predict it properly. Mathieu van der Poel, Pogacar, Pedersen, Van Aert, Ganna. They do claim it appears to be Van der Poel that's the leading favourite, but again, like the women's, prediction, and there we have it. Mathieu van der Poel is going to win the Ronde according to ChatGPT. Pogacar and Pedersen will round out the podium. Here we go. This isn't so. They think Van der Poel in a sprint against Tadej Pogacar. Dark horses, Ganna and Van Aert. Disagree with that slightly, but that's Chat. So that's how and who AI think is going to win the Ronde for the men and for the women. What do I think is going to happen, and who do I think is going to win the races? For the men, as I've said, it's Pogacar versus Van der Poel. UAE have by far the stronger team. They will put the pressure on, I think, from the first time up the Kwaremont, and then want to hold it with the whole team for as long as they can before unleashing Pogacar, probably on the second time up the Kwaremont, or ultimately the Koppenberg, like 2023. I think there'll be attacks after the Molenberg from the other riders. Someone, as I've said, like Stefan Kung, Sturban, Ineos, I think will get involved there. He shouldn't, but I think Pedersen probably will. But I don't think they'll be let off the leash quite as much as they were in 23 when the Pedersen group got, 2.5, 3 minutes on the Van der Poel and Pogacar group. Heading into the Kwaremont for the second time, that's where Pogacar will make his first move. He seems to like making a move there. That will bring out a group of favourites, probably Pogacar, Van der Poel, Jorgensen, Kung, and Pedersen. Van Aert, I'm umming and ahhing over whether he'll make it over that time. On the Koppenberg, that will be where Van der Poel and Pogacar go away. Pogacar will put pressure on him on every single cobbled climb humanly possible. So you got the Tynberg, Kreuzberg, the Kwaremont, and if he needs to, the Paterberg. As much as Van der Poel has improved, and I think he is in a much better position to fight Pogacar in the hills in 2023, I see Mathieu van der Poel being dropped probably at some point on the Kwaremont for the final time, and Pogacar will take the win. If Van der Poel survives the Kwaremont, Mathieu van der Poel is going to win the Ronde. I just don't see it, to be honest. I think on that long climb, it suits Pogacar more than it suits Van der Poel. We're going to see a world champion win the Rainbow Bands for the second year in a row. Van der Poel will finish second. I don't think he'll be as far back as people are predicting. Some people are predicting him to finish a minute plus down. I think it'll be 30 seconds to 40 seconds. Group behind, I think it'll be someone that will come from that group of attackers on the Molenberg. And I'm going to go with Stefan Kung to finish on the podium at the Ronde. Women's prediction time, and I think it will kick off on the Koppenberg. I think there'll be tentative attacks from breakaway riders before then, but I think on the Koppenberg is when the women will kick off. And you'll get a group with Kopecky, Wiebes, Longo Borghini, Chabe, Peterson, Ilia Doma, Pfeiffer Georgi, and Marianne Vos. Kopecky is going to drop everyone on the Oude Kwaremont and take the win. Behind, I'm going to go for Puck Pieterse and Longo Borghini to round out the podium. I think it'll just be a little bit too hard for Thingy Mabob, Lorena Wiebes.